With the 2025-2026 academic school year underway, Education Minister Sharie De Castro says the ministry has a, quote, robust support system in place to help students who exhibit behavioral problems. Minister De Castro said on Virgin Islands Voice last week that the ministry still has a zero-tolerance approach to serious misbehavior on school campuses. However, she informed that the ministry has been doing some serious work in creating an intervention and support mechanism in schools. The minister stated that they now have a list of robust interventions in schools, which have escalated to the ministry level. Also, they have external partners who support this process.
And so we have a very robust process in place, and we are saying that we will help, we will support, but the education system cannot be everything to everybody. There are instances where students have to be whether temporarily removed from the school environment to get intervention, to seek support. These things are done based on expert advice from external persons. The school would give and the ministry would give the requisite information. They evaluate the child, they go through sessions, and then the recommendations are made to the ministry regarding the child's placement. And so we have been really seeing some progress. There have been students who have been put on an alternative pathway that have returned to full day school on campuses. And I want to be clear, the challenges that we have are across all secondary schools in the territory. And so intervention has had to be multi-pronged. We've gotten support from the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, from the Ministry of Health and Social Development, from the Governor's Office in really strategizing to really implement a violence reduction strategy. And you'll hear some more plans coming up through the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports in terms of some of the mechanisms and programming that we want to put in place in support of our at-risk youth. But we are creating those opportunities, and there are multiple ways. We have the Alternative Secondary Education Program. I really want to just take 2 minutes and speak on that. Mm-hmm. The Alternative Secondary Education Program is a flagship program for the Ministry of Education. I want to big up Ms. Coffey and her entire team, and we've seen the impact of ASAP on our students. Just in July, the last graduation of the year was the ASAP graduation. 32 individuals graduated from the ASAP program and the online certificate program. These are persons who would have dropped out of high school for varying reasons over varying times, years in some instances, and they would have returned to school, gone through the process and received their high school diploma. We've since added support to ASAP because we do have the students who we are putting on the alternative pathway. We've added a school counselor to that program. We've added additional teachers to support that learning and development. But ASAP is a critical partner for the ministry.
Chief Education Officer Olandette Crabb says one of the initiatives the ministry will be rolling out this year is an alternative pathway for students who have been excluded from school for a long period.
We've partnered with a private agency to establish a school-like facility for students who are challenged on a school campus for whatever reason. Their behavior is excessive, extreme, it makes the school environment unsafe. While we have to exclude them, we have partnered with a private agency to provide not just academic services, but also therapy and and that type of socio emotional support that we really believe that's what our students need. But I just want to reiterate one of the things that the minister said. Our position is zero tolerance for serious and extreme behavior. And while we have adopted that approach, we are not saying that we don't provide support for students. From very early in primary school, students who exhibit certain behaviors are identified. And they are offered treatment. One of the things that we find is that we meet a lot of resistance from parents. And so let me just go back to our parents and say, parents, you have to work with us. Right. You have to support our attempts to really provide the kind of intervention that some children will need. It doesn't mean that something is wrong with your child. Just this week, I had a conversation with a parent, and she doesn't want her child to be labeled. Well, you're the one who who's labeling the child. But what we're saying is your child has some special educational needs. What they require to be successful is different from others, and that's okay. I have a special education need, and so do you, Mr. Malone. You probably don't know, but we all have one, and we have to, one of the things I say to my officer is special needs ain't special no more, because everybody has something that they need to be successful.